Hi, I'm Krysti Subieta, and we're in session at JackRabbit SoundShack. Graded or timed, seize the day. You don't have to pretend. Chase your dream till the end. But oh, you've been running so long. At times you question the point. Lift your eyes. You have made it to the finish line on this journey. We'll be trying things we've never done on this journey. There'll be troubles, trials, tests, and tears, but keep moving forward and keep holding on, and don't ever underestimate your will to go. Whatever you find brings your spirit to life. But oh, don't freeze in the times of failure. Know that you'll carry on, staying strong with a smile that drives the fear away on this journey. Shore on this journey. We'll be always chasing something more, but keep moving forward and keep holding on, and don't ever underestimate your will to go on, and on this journey you will see, you will find yourself, find yourself, find yourself.
All right, welcome into In Session at JackRabbit SoundShack. He is Vance Van Donselaar, owner, operator, JackRabbit SoundShack Studios. I am David Biggs, producer, engineer, JackRabbit SoundShack Studios. And we are in session today with Krysti Subieta. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks, guys.
Did I pronounce your name properly?
Yeah, Subieta.
Subieta.
With
Sweet.
a Y. Krysti with a Y. That threw me off at first.
Krysti.
Yeah, Krysti.
It actually is Christine, though, right?
Yeah, it's short for Christine.
I just had never seen Christine spelled that way, and it's cool.
Nice.
I dig it. Something different. Just when I first wrote it, I had to, you were like, did you do it with a Y? And I'm like, no, I'll fix that. At the store. Anyway, welcome in. We're going to hear some awesome music by Krysti today. She performed music both on guitar and keys on the beautiful Rhodes 73. And just to get started, tell me a little bit about yourself in terms of where you came from, because you're not originally from Texas. You're originally from Florida, correct?
Yep, that's right. I grew up mostly in South Florida, and I got myself to Gainesville after that, where I felt more at peace in North Florida. It was way rockier. I really like to climb. So
Cool.
After going to school in Florida, I hopped over to Austin, where there's places to climb and a lot more music happening.
What got you into climbing?
Well, I think it was my mother telling me to get down.
Okay.
So you kept going up higher, right?
So your first climbing was on top of the refrigerator for the cookie jar.
Well, it was actually, so my parents are both from Bolivia, and so I am actually first generation from Bolivia, which is in South America, and that's where my name comes from, Subieta, and it's Subieta.
Subieta.
Yeah. And they, so I would go over the summer to nature, this farm out in Luribai, this third world country, just like beautiful farm with grapes and sheep and a lot of big mountains, because Bolivia has these enormous mountains, the Andes Mountains, and you can just ride on up to them and just climb them. So as a child, we would go there every summer, and I just connected with nature a lot during my childhood.
How often did you go out there? Like up to what age? Because you said as a child, but
Yeah, so when we graduated from high school, I had like a bunch of cousins that were all the same age, that we'd all go out there every summer, or at least have a reunion of some kind. And after high school, we kind of didn't go there anymore because we were all doing our own thing in college.
sure.
Yeah, so that was what inspires my music a lot, is nature and my family. Because of how I grew up, we were very close with our family.
Okay.
That actually answers my next question. Was going to be, where do you derive your influences from into your songwriting, for writing your material? And you said from travel, family,
And nature.
Nature's a big one.
Oh yeah, like connecting with the earth and connecting with non-human forms of energy. They are all very inspiring in my music, and you can hear a lot of references, especially in like fantasy world or in the first album. I like to incorporate a lot of different instruments. Some sound like the wind, some sound like didgeridoos, like big pipes or whatever.
Well, yeah, and that
The
one
trees.
song you play, it's like it's not a flute, but what do you call it? What's the actual proper term?
It's a Celtic tin whistle or a penny whistle. I don't know a lick of Irish music except Irish washerwoman on clarinet. But yeah, other than that, I just play penny whistle.
And Find Yourself, that was the first video that I saw. I mean, you teach music lessons at the store where I work, and I had no idea that you had all these music videos on YouTube. And somebody was like, yeah, why don't you get Krysti in there? I was saying we needed somebody to come on the show. And I watched that video and I was like, man, she's like a star, like, I was impressed with that video. I mean, did you do that video yourself, or did you have somebody produce that video? And that video has that whistle in it. That's why it's tied to that.
It has like 3 different wind instruments, right?
Yeah, there's a little tiny penny whistle, and then there's a bigger one, which is
Okay.
an octave lower, and then the guitar and everything.
It was almost like a recorder, sort of, but a little
It's
brighter sounding.
Yeah, I like it. It's simpler than a recorder. It's just got 6 holes in it, and it's just a tube with 6 holes and a whistle. The tuning is in D major or B minor, so it's really easy to jam with, and the fingerings all just kind of make sense. Like, I think it's easier than a recorder, because I learned recorder when I was little. I actually want to teach penny whistle to kids, like as a learning instrument, as a starter instrument. So yeah, I love that. But the music video, it was done by James Martinez. He and also 2 people that helped me with the drone footage, the overhead footage. And they were Kelly Marks and Kelly Marks Photography. This song inspired James Martinez at a party. He listened to it and he's like, oh my God, I want to make a music video of that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we went
That's
out.
cool. You got to have drone footage. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had friends that have tried to make a living doing that. I mean, you can make actually good living doing drone photography for various different reasons. But going back to the video, I mean, you had like cool furry hats, and you know, you always have cool furry boots and jackets and things, and it just adds a lot, I think, to the flair of the video. And then the penny whistle sort of, or the, you know, that instrument adds sort of a happy, cool, like texture to the song, giving it that Irish sort of feel or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. And the world music is a big thing. Like having that Celtic whistle that's from Ireland, that sound mixed in with like the sound of the violin, the classical sound, mixed in with like the guitar. I really like blending genres together because I grew up listening to Bolivian music, and then at my friend's house, I would hear like the American blues and all of that.
What is Bolivian music like? I haven't heard
it's
much Bolivian.
It's really like tribal, I would say. Has a lot of little flutes. Like the Peruvian music is similar, where you'll have like the pan flutes. But the rhythms especially fascinate me. I haven't seen dancing like that. It almost seems like Native American.
You got to hook me up with some Bolivian music. I've never heard it.
Yeah.
If you have some, recommend it, please.
Tupay is my favorite. Tupay on Spotify.
Okay.
And you're on Spotify.
I am on Spotify. You have to do KRYSTI on Spotify.
Oh, man, that's good.
And you'll see Subieta.
That's really good, actually.
So
Just fell out of my face.
the video for Find Yourself, where was that filmed?
It was filmed on this just outside of Austin. There's it's called Cross Mountain.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. Where is that about? Is it east, west, north?
I think it's east. No, sorry, it's west.
Okay.
On the way to Enchanted Rock, I believe, is the Cross Mountain. New Braunfels, I want to say.
New Braunfels is south from here.
The south, yeah. I have to look on the video description. But in any case, it's shot in several different places. We went on the way there at the sunrise. You know, we got sunrise footage, and it was cold. And then throughout the day, it got warmer. So
what time of year was it? Was it winter?
Yeah.
Or Texas winter?
Yeah, it was winter for I think it was about December or so.
Okay.
So, but throughout the day it gets warmer, and so by the time we're up on the mountain, it's like hot, and we're hiking up this mountain. So we're like, hey, it's so hot, so all the clothes come off. But layers.
Yeah.
The fur is a thing. So I'm really into wolves, and that inspires a lot of my songwriting too. A ton of it, actually. So I would say that they're an animal that would come to me in dreams, or just seem like a coach or a teacher, that type of symbolism I received from wolves. And I felt like I had something to learn from them as a young child. So I would derive a lot of musical inspiration from wolves and nature, and also stories from my friends who were not as sheltered as I was. Because I was very sheltered, and I would talk to some people that were like gnarly. Like my mother wouldn't want me hanging out with these people, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so like after graduating, I would hear stories about their lives, and I was just like, oh my God, like their lives and other people's lives.
That sounds very Native American.
I was about to say, I picked up a Native American sense just from watching the video for
Have you spent some time out in the desert?
Well, I did travel on tour this past April, and we went out to like Sedona and Arizona, and up around California to Washington, back through Colorado.
That's Native American area, you know.
Yeah.
Taking in influences.
Technically, all of this is
they were
Native
everywhere.
American
Yeah, they were all over.
technically.
By the way, if anyone doesn't realize that, we're killing them silently, killing them softly.
They're okay. They're fine.
I know, he got so tense up there. Well, yeah. So, I mean, technically, there's like a lot of Native American in me, but there's South American. So, like Andes type of, you see my nose, right? Like that's kind of the Peruvian.
Right.
That's not exactly where I was going with all that.
If we're going to be racist about it.
No, I wasn't trying to be
Culturist.
Did that come out
No,
real?
I'm just joking.
No.
I'm totally. Nah, I'm messing
I
with
was talking desert. I mean, I've been out in Arizona and New Mexico, but you talk about wolves and the spirituality of wolves with the Native American church, and I mean, I've had friends that are highly into that. And I mean, they go out in the desert and go in sweats and hang out in the hogan and take peyote and freak out in the desert, you know.
Yeah.
and go to these drum ceremonies and all this stuff. And I mean, I have recorded Native American music
That's awesome.
with the hey nays and everything.
Yeah.
Hey nay, hey nay, nay, hey.
The
Cut
throat
this out.
singing.
Cut this out.
You're going to be editing
No,
the
no,
dialogue
don't
of
edit
this.
that. That's great. No, because it's going to segue into something. Like the Native American music. So, okay, you're talking about drum circles. But for real, I want to make a meditation album. Like, yeah, that's next on the list. I have a song called Just Breathe, which is like a mantra, just the same words over and over again. And it is inspired from like the throat singing, the Native Americans, like you said, but a lot of that shaman sort of energy. Because my mission is I believe in the healing power of music. And so any way that I see music can heal is what I kind of tap into and want to create that genre or that feeling. So I'll make uplifting music if I realize the words have a big impact on our emotion and our mood. Or like talking about something that's difficult to talk about, like the shadows of life, like Set Fire is about wanting to kill yourself. And so like that can be healing when you talk about the shadow, right? So lyrical content, and then the actual sounds of the music themselves, like the throat singing we were just doing, the tin whistle, like that, the low one, especially the big one, it's very like soothing and meditative. So that's, I used to chant with Hare Krishnas when I was in college, and
Wow.
that's what got me, I'm very shy actually. Like I had a really hard time singing in front of people. I just kind of locked myself in my room. I was just really insecure about my voice because I was told I wasn't a good singer for a long time. I mean, some people were like, yeah, keep going. But
By like family or what?
yeah, well, sometimes family, it was very critical, I think. They weren't like, you should well, they were kind of like, don't
Are they
vote for it.
musical?
Some are, but no one is like a professional musician in my family. Like, I mean, some of my cousins are getting there. Like Daikaiju, Rand Ramos, shout out to Rand. Yeah, he's actually Daikaiju's bass player. So yeah, there's like my generation, we're starting to get into it, but not them. So I was, long story short, yeah, like a lot of people, I was very insecure about my voice, so I didn't like to share it. I played lots of clarinet though, so I learned music that way. So where I'm going with this is that I forgot where I was going with this.
That's okay.
There's
Your roots.
So
Just talking about your
oh
roots.
yeah, my roots. Okay, that's a segue. Yeah, I guess I'm excited that I can share my voice with you guys, because for real, that was a thing I was very shy about at first.
I kind of want to take a little bit of a deeper look into how, because you're saying you were shy initially with your voice, but now you're a vocal teacher, which is the absolute opposite of being shy with your voice, right? So how did you get to that point? What was the breaking point? Like what happened with that?
I guess I spent 10 years recording my voice and like getting through the like hatred of it.
Okay.
Because I really believed that when I would sing, something would happen to me, because
Okay.
I always struggled with depression. And whenever I would sing, it would make that a lot less. But it really did depend on what I was singing, the words I was singing. And so I went to the Hare Krishnas. And the Hare Krishnas would just kind of chant. They didn't really care what their voice sounded like. That wasn't really the point.
Right.
So I'd be like obsessive about it. Like, I got to make my voice better. I got to make it better because I hear it and I hear other people's voice and I heal from their voice, and there's something about the voice. I got to make it better. But I was like trying really hard. And the Hare Krishnas, they would just give you food, give you water. They made like a vegetarian meal, and it was really cheap for students. And they would sit under the sun on this blanket with a harmonium and just do a call and response. Really simple.
Explain what the harmonium is. And
It has a keyboard on it, but it's about the size of a large shoebox, maybe 2 shoeboxes on top of each other. And it has like an accordion back to it. So you'll like pump it with air. So it's like an organ, and you have a tiny little key. So
you're playing pitches, essentially.
Yeah.
So and then they bend in and out off of the pitches, correct?
Yeah, it's like legit pitches, not really bends. And then there's drums, like dong, 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 dong,
Frame
dong,
drumming
dong,
and-
dong. Yeah, the drums. And they'll do stuff like, here's a bunch. It's like, my favorite one was Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare. And then everyone would reply.
Wow, that's good.
Like, Hare Krishna,
great.
Hare Krishna. And then you do that over and over again. And there'd be other melodies as well. But they didn't have to explain anything to me. They just sat there and called in response. And we just all chanted until we didn't care about what our voices sounded like. We were just all connecting with the energy
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I didn't understand the words. It's all the words are just the most. It was explained to me as Hare Krishna is the most loving name for that entity that we call God. It feels good in your mouth. That's what they said. It feels good to say those syllables and those sounds. Hare Krishna.
Where are you going to do this? Like a temple or something?
No, it was in the middle of our school.
Outdoors.
Yeah, it was in front of the library at University of Florida. When you would go to the library, they'd just be there.
Are these students?
Nah, there's like a temple near the school. And so they would go and serve lunch there. So you would just go to Library West and get Hare Krishna lunch.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Most people didn't chant. Most people would just get lunch and go. But I obviously.
Sounds like people.
Right? I would obviously be like, you guys are doing something.
We're just here for the free lunch.
Yeah.
Well,
no chanting necessary.
yeah.
I'm not here to chant.
It was a small little group, yeah, but I just kind of sat with them and was like, yeah, we chanting? Okay, let's do this. And that broke me out of my shell. That made me more comfortable singing around people because I would just remember how I felt when I was singing with the Hare Krishnas, which was very relaxed. And then my voice started to get better. And then I would sing at churches, which I never really wanted to go sing in churches very much because I'm not aligned with any one specific dogma. But yeah, I was like, okay, I'll sing some Jesus songs, right on. So it became way easier for me to perform music in any spiritual type of setting. So there's a lot of spirituality that influences my music and not like a specific religion. Like I wouldn't say I'm a Christian artist. I would say that I am
a spiritual artist.
Yeah, or a conscious artist. Because even the word spiritual now is coming off weird for people. They're like, I don't like all these people that are like, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And I'm like, all right, that word's already getting overused. So just conscious of things that you don't always see, conscious of the vibrations, conscious of the energy, and trying to actually create healing sounds in all kinds of ways that we're psychologically traumatized right now, just as an American country. You know what I mean? There's a lot of trauma, and music can help with it. So,
do you think that your alignment with, I guess, what we were talking about as spirituality and the fact that you were doing it through different religious/spiritual outlets, do you think that you're opening up through that avenue had to do with the community? Like, this is community that those things bring, or what do you think that came from as far as why was that the avenue that helped open you up as opposed to anything else?
I think because before that, it was always about being good, at singing or being good at an instrument. It was about technicality and this and that. And one thing people would always say is, you're not opening up enough. You haven't let go. I'm like, what does that mean? All these really good singers, they'd be like, you just haven't let go. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I'm just going to keep trying really hard. And, recording myself and doing it over and over again, not drinking enough water, which, by the way, always drink water.
And the chanting is kind of like that. It's like letting go, and you're just you're more you're freeing your mind into these pitches, and you're not worried about, I'm hitting every little note a certain way. You're just you're into almost a meditative state and sound and tones that you're singing. And that takes you into a spiritual place. I know you say spiritual is overused, but it takes you to a spiritual inner sort of place with other people as a community in a group setting. And I could see how that'd be very healing for the mind, body, and spirit. It's just like going to church. Christians go to church,
except if you can't let go at the church you're at. See, that's the thing.
Right.
But yes.
And there is that. There definitely is that. That's a whole nother thing. But you go. A lot of Christian folks will go to church. They sing. They feel good afterwards because you're releasing that. You have that community energy that you're releasing in song and praise or whatnot. It's the same thing if you go to a Native American church or you go to, there's Jewish music out
Synagogue.
there. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of music that is involved in religion and whatnot. And you get into a group setting where everybody's sort of putting it in together. There's something magical that happens.
Yeah, I think that when you're directing your energy more towards, or your thoughts more about, how am I going to connect with this emotion? Or not even, but like for me, it's like connecting with something that's higher than me, like connecting with this vibe, which it's hard to describe, but
Some people would call God.
yeah, I mean, for me, it's an energy. It's a vibrational thing that is there that connects people on certain wavelengths. I did go to electrical engineering school, so I talk a lot in terms of that, but it really does
Wow.
apply.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, I have that.
We need some stuff soldered. No, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
you know what's funny is that they make technicians do that. I wasn't allowed to solder when I
never
worked.
soldered?
I did. I soldered a lot. I made a loop pedal actually. It was called
Whoa.
DigiLoops. It was a digital loop pedal.
He just fixed our GI box. Sorry, I'm not talking
Yeah.
into the mic, David.
That's okay.
He just resoldered our direct box. I mean, he likes doing that stuff. I did
like
that stuff
soldering.
in school. I'm not into soldering.
I like soldering. It's fun. It's meditative. But yeah, when you're an electrical engineer working, they have technicians to do the soldering in some places.
I just don't have the patience.
So what do you do as an electrical engineer? If
Well,
it's like, well, I mean, it's soldering. I see
you
it's
des-
kind of menial work, but
yeah. Well, I was doing tests.
designing stuff.
Yeah, people can design stuff, but a lot of time you're simulating it on the computer.
Gotcha.
So what I got to do was more like hands-on actual hardware, but it was like running tests. So we had like a test board, and you'd like check resistances and change wires out, and just try to find bugs in these chips that would go in smartphones, basically.
Right.
But yeah, I wanted to solder. Sometimes I got to.
He just got a new soldering iron.
It's not important.
It's not that new, but you know.
I had to solder the inside my preamp of my guitar, and it was like operation, I swear. I was like, if I would shake a little bit, it would burn like the plastic around. So I'm just like, oh God, this is the hardest soldering job of my life. Like,
Wasn't there an area like open it up to get to the electrical components?
not
guitar?
really. Like I couldn't really. I had to like take it. You'll see in the Ovation, or I don't know where it is, but
I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Okay.
it's installed into the actual
Pull
guitar.
it out or something.
I pulled it out, but yeah, you still have to like reach into a compartment. So it was fun. It was the most difficult soldering job I had ever done.
So how long have you had that Ovation? Nobody plays Ovations anymore. And I find that that's interesting that you have one, especially one like that, because it's kind of I think it's an older model. Or are they still making them like that?
That's a 2005, I believe. Yeah. And it's a celebrity ovation.
They have a very bright tone.
They do. I fell in love with that guitar. It was my first model of guitar. I had one before that, but when I was filming the Set Fire music video, I lost it. And when I lost it, I was so upset. I wanted to get like the same model of guitar. So I found it on eBay, and it was in that color, which is way awesome. Like I really like that orange sunburst color, and it's got the leaves on it, which is very natureful.
Which is in the video. Find Yourself. However, today you played on a Taylor, which I thought sounded incredible. It's got a little more low mids, and it's a little fuller. The Ovation, it's got a real. Ovations have a distinct sound. They really do, and I like it. It's got a real brightness to it. But anyway,
I did like playing the Taylor, though. I'm always like open to try out new guitars.
and it's a baby Taylor, right, David?
It's a GS Mini.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's super portable. You know,
I like it. I got a
Campfire
little backpack
jam.
case for it.
I like the way it felt, and the strings. It all worked out really well. I think I need to change my strings,
Yeah, I need to get new ones as well.
but I liked that it was small.
I'd like to maybe go into your songwriting a little bit as far as what is your inspiration for the songs that you write and why? I know it's a broad question,
I mean,
but
it's
where does that take you?
Pretty much all the stuff we talked about. I can get specific over the different
please.
songs, that we did today. So
Please.
Find Yourself was actually written it was written many, many times. And I just couldn't get it right. I couldn't figure out how this song should be. I just know I had this melody in my head. I couldn't stop singing that melody for like 2 years. And so what inspires me is the music, first off. I get melodies in my head that won't go away. And so I just lay them down and then put chords and music behind them on piano, guitar, whatever I sing, and put it back. And then it just stays there and becomes, it doesn't really stay there, but it sits for a while until I feel like I can converge on words. And words for me are challenging. I feel like I have to choose words carefully, and I overthink words a lot, especially in my songwriting. Right. So that song, finally, the day that it happened, and then it was done, because it took a long time, was when my sister was graduating. Mm-hmm. And I had written some of it when I had graduated. So it became this sort of like testament to, you've made it. You've like hit this milestone. Like whatever you've been working towards, you're there. But you know that there's so much more to go. And so it became what it is now. And I always have to go back to it, because there's always moments where you feel like you lost yourself. You found yourself, yeah, I finished my thing that I was going to do. I got my thing, and now my future is ahead of me. And then, 2 years down the road, you're like, oh my God, who am I? What's happening?
Yeah, it's always like a subjective thing, right? Like it just changes throughout the course of your life.
Yeah, that's a normal cycle of life, yeah. I think. You go through phases where you have insecurities and you're feeling like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and then you're like, man, I'm knocking it out. I'm doing it. I know what's going on. I got this. And you're like, do I? I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's a natural up and down.
Trapeze, hit the ball, go drum. You can't break me, you can't break me. Set fire to this body, set fire to this worn out flesh, and consume me.
What about the Set Fire song? Because you had mentioned that song's about suicide.
Yeah, so that song was inspired originally by a story that I was told. And the story goes like this. So there's a circus performer, and he likes to light himself on fire. That's his act. And he gets a job with the fair. So they travel with the fair. He's really happy. Everyone's telling him, yeah, man, like he's young. So everyone's saying, yeah, man, come on, like you can do whatever you want here. Get away from your parents, get away from school. Like Pinocchio, the story of Pinocchio. Only in this case, it's a guy who lights himself on fire.
Slightly darker.
Not in he wanted to be a real boy.
Real dead boy.
Yeah. So he ends up getting involved in this crew, and he's trapped there because it's not like it pays very much, and sometimes he doesn't get paid at all, and he's there in a tent and doesn't have gas money to leave because they're out in the middle of nowhere most of the time. And so even if he wanted to go, he really can't. So it's just like wow, look at that. So of course he feels like, where was he? He lost himself in that moment, and he decided that he would not put himself out of fire at the performance that next day. So
he burned to death.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which is the most painful way to go, pretty
rough.
much. Like, I was just taken aback by that story. I thought it was so dark. It freaked me out. Like, it really did. I thought, the good news is, I'll save that for later. I'll save the good news for the end.
No, what's the good news now?
We're depressed now.
Okay, the good news is the guy didn't
people.
actually die. He was fine. He lived. But I thought he died when I heard this story.
Scarred.
I found out after I wrote the song that he actually didn't die, and I was so embarrassed because I go to my friend. I'm like, dude, that story you told me, I feel so bad about your friend, and I hope you're not offended, but I wrote this song that was inspired by that story because it was his friend. And he's like, oh, dude, he didn't actually die, though.
You're like, well, he is dead in the song.
I know. So I was like, oh God, I exposed my soul, and whatever. It's all that ridiculousness. So that was that inspiration for that song. And I guess the whole thing was, though, that was before the Hare Krishnas. So I'm like obsessed, like trying to get this song right and perfect and everything. So in the end, like I want to kill myself, like for trying to record this song. Oh my gosh. And so, yeah, there's a lot of like raw emotion in that song that's literally recorded like desperation and like tired desperation in that song right there. Which is, that's part of songwriting, is capturing the emotion. And some people out there really might be feeling that right now, that wanting to just say, you know what, this body is limiting me and I don't want it anymore. I just want to be free of it and like let my energy go out. It's not even that dark when you think about it that way sometimes, right? You're just like, this body is a prison, and that's really dark, right? But at the same time, there's rebirth. That's the whole thing with the phoenix burns within you. So sometimes we do feel like we are being destroyed, like we are burning, and that is okay. That happens to everybody, because you're being reborn, and you have to allow that. Birth is a painful process for everybody involved, but that's life, and it makes you stronger. So I go back to that song quite a bit whenever I am feeling that like desperation, because I feel like it's echoed in that song, and I understand, like I feel the pain, and then I remember at that end, the phoenix burns within me, So that's that song.
Reminds me of the story of I'm gonna date myself here and probably pigeonhole myself, but that's okay. But Slipknot has a song called Purity about a girl named Purity who was supposed to have, the whole story is it was this girl who was buried alive essentially, and she was communicating with this kid because whoever buried her like installed this oxygen tube up to the surface kind of deal, and so this kid was talking to her. The whole thing it turned out to be fake, but you can find like files of it online, or at least years ago when they first released that song you could, and so it seemed very real, you know what I mean? And so they wrote this whole song for this kid who was buried alive. And it's a phenomenal song. It's a rare one, because I think they actually ended up having to re-release that record once they found out that it wasn't real. They pulled that song off and replaced it with another one. So the people who know that song, they typically tend to be the real fans, I guess, who actually really know that song. But it's very similar from what I've gathered.
I can see this isn't real, but
What's your most personal song that you've written? And it doesn't mean it has to be one you perform today, but just in general. And I'd like to talk to you about that and find out why it's your most personal, things like that.
I'm exposing my soul here to you guys. You want
Please.
more? You're like, please.
This is good stuff. This is all good stuff.
Pass it up.
Yes, we want to get as deep as we can here.
Jesus.
David likes to get deep.
Oh, man. I mean,
we will.
honestly, people who listen to podcasts, though, they're not listening to every word you say.
They want the good stuff.
They want the deep stuff.
I mean, if someone's going to go through this and actually listen to this long and not, like, be like, what is going on? If you're still here right now, we're going to get deeper.
The joke's on you.
Oh, it's
We're
gonna
about
be broken
to. We're
up,
about to get
hopefully.
even deeper.
We're going to keep them with the music and then just continue to go deeper. As deep as we can. That's the whole point.
Wow.
Yeah. As deep as you're comfortable going.
All right. Yeah, that's better. I like that option. Yeah, so Set Fire is pretty personal. It makes everyone very uncomfortable, I'm sure, when I sing that song. So that's probably the most personal song. There is like a second most personal song,
Well,
though.
personal as far as like which song hits closest to home for you? Because you just told us that Set Fire was kind of about a story that you heard from a friend about, it was tertiary essentially.
Yeah. Okay, so one that like was more inspired by like by me only.
Yes.
Not other people.
Yeah, when you were going through crisis or whatever, you know what I mean? Like something that you wrote just...
Love Lullaby, for sure.
Okay.
Love Lullaby was that. So that was on the second album, and in that time I was recording...
Name of the second album is Angelgrams,
Angelgrams,
Okay.
yeah. I was recording with a producer here in town, and his name is James Gibson. It's on the album and everything. So it's personal because it's hard to talk about. It's hard to talk about on a podcast. But in any case...
You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you're comfortable, we'd like to get to know you. Now, if you don't want to, just say pass and we can move on.
Yeah, I know. It's not live or anything like that. I'm just trying to think of, like, the best way to phrase it. Well, I was going through a crisis. I really was. And I was really worried about the words of the song because they just... the whole point was that I was unable to put this emotion into words. And it had to do with a relationship. And nothing was working in the relationship as far as the ability to communicate. So I thought, well, maybe if words aren't working, I just have to write a song. And maybe that will fix it somehow. That I'll be able to magically communicate the feeling and the words that will solve this problem, all these problems in a song. But then I was treating it like a song, and I was trying too hard. So it wasn't coming across. And the producer knew that. He was like, this isn't there. Like, the emotion's not there. I'm not buying it. And I'm just like, it's there. It's there.
I'm feeling it.
I'm feeling it as much as I can feel it. He's just like, it's still not there. If you're trying to, like, solve this problem, if you're using this song, to communicate this emotion that I know so well because you've talked to me about it, then you're, like, you got to do it again. So I ended up, like, praying before. That was interesting. There's the first part of that song, which was improvised for the most part at that point, because he had told me, just like you guys say, which is just like, just feel it, just let it go, don't try so hard on the notes and everything. And so I ended up praying, like saying, I can't do this without you, I need you. And that was me praying so that something else essentially would help me to get this emotion across. And you can listen to the song if you want. You can see what emotion that is. But it was, I guess, revealing the side of me that's like surrendering, I would have to say. It's very, very personal because I think we all have a big ego, and I want to solve every problem and get everything right. And to realize that maybe you can't always do that, without some other thing or person or entity, just that vulnerability that you're able to express by saying, I'm not enough by myself. I need something else. I always had a hard time dealing with that. I was like, I don't need anything. I don't need anyone, right? I'm a bit uncomfortable talking about it, obviously, because it is the most personal song. So what I will say to wrap it up is that when I heard the recording, after I had prayed, I basically was like, oh, obviously delete that. Obviously.
Okay.
That was a warm-up. That was me praying and getting into an emotion, but that didn't work. There was a lot of weird notes. There was things that were out of tune. Like, there's just a lot of imperfection in that, and clearly we're deleting that.
And he was like, that's the keeper.
Yes, that's exactly what he did. And I was like, no, it's not. It's definitely not. Like, it's my recording. That's not going to get released. Like, no way. And I just started being egotistical about it, and just like, defensive and not wanting to surrender, not wanting to let it go. And he just stands there and he's like, no, we're keeping it.
See, that's production. So that story makes me want to listen to that song. You know what I'm saying? Like, just you talking about that and opening up. You didn't open up all the way, which is totally fine. I appreciate you sharing what you did. But the fact, just the little bit that you did open up about that makes me want to go and listen to that song because of that. So I appreciate it. That's what connects with people.
You put yourself out there, and it came from the heart. And when it comes from the heart, it's going to connect. And that's what people feel because they've been there. They've had a similar situation that they're relating to your situation, and that moves them.
Yeah, it moves me when I listen to it even because, I have to go back to that song a lot too when I'm dealing with like relationships falling apart basically. And it doesn't sound like me singing it sometimes. Sometimes I forget it's me because it was so foreign when I heard it. But yeah, I had to go to the bathroom and like cry like while listening to this recording and be like, I don't want it to be released. And eventually like the more he played it back, the more I started to like it. And then I started to love it. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I would have deleted that if it hadn't been for him, which is why I would strongly recommend artists get a producer, man. Like, even if you know how to do it yourself, you're going to delete it.
Yeah.
It's good to have an outside set of ears that, they have their own vision.
Well, not only that, but like in this case, somebody who is willing to push someone to say, this is personal, you need to push this. This is music. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
That's a good producer.
Yeah,
right.
He's very, he combines artist development with production, which I think is so important. James Gibson.
And he's local?
Yeah, he is local. Yeah, I would much recommendation. Lots of recommendation for him. Yeah.
Much recommendation.
So many recommendations. All the recs. Yeah, he did produce Angelgrams in full. It was a song a week project, so he worked hard, as well as I, to get a song out every week, and just done.
Is Higher Than Angels on that record?
Higher Than the Angels is on the first one.
So everything you brought in today is on your first record, right? Find Yourself?
Yep.
Correct, except for the cover that you brought in.
Yeah, that's Florence and the Machine. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, the second record is amazing, and you should check it out. KRYSTI on Spotify. Angelgrams.
And YouTube.
Raw, real, uplifting.
And Google Play Music.
All of that.
Yeah.
Just Google my name and you'll find something.
Gotcha.
It's spelled strange enough to where you'll find it.
So what are you looking to do with your musical adventure? So, I mean, this seems to me like the beginning of what you've got going on. Where are you looking to go with it? Where are you looking to take it?
I would like to be in music therapy.
Okay, sure. Meaning what? Meaning
that exploring genres and sounds that really get into the brain and help solve neurological disorders. That is really something that needs to happen more and more.
Well, give us an example. Like, talk us through something. Like
a neurological disorder. I started teaching music because I'm really drawn to helping people using music, as you can tell. And so some of my favorite people to help was like the stroke patient. And she had lost half of her face, paralyzed. And she used to sing, and she was just starting to play guitar when it happened. And she was so upset that she couldn't play music anymore. And her name was Sarah. So I went in there and gave her breathing exercises and voice lessons, and certain activities that we did strengthened her voice again. And it gave her the ability to sing at her, she told me that she used to get told to mouth it, just don't sing, just mouth it in her choir. But she said that after taking voice lessons with me, she was singing, first they asked her to lead a song. And so she really improved and was just crying. This woman was in tears, giving me this ridiculously long testimony about how much music impacted her, and she was hopeless and ready to go. And she was revitalized by it. At one point I visited her and she was just so done. She didn't even want to sing. She was just done. And she was like, "Can you just perform for me?" And I performed her Clinging not Clinging. I performed Clarity, which is on Angelgrams also, for her. And she said that I just chose that song because it had lyrics that I thought would lift her up. It's all about, it's kind of another depression song. It has that theme, but it's about how to deal with the depression. Get out your head and get into your heart. You won't see the end if you never start. When your heart and your head align, that's where clarity lies. So, she overthinks things. A lot of people do, but
Sure.
she does. And her thoughts and her overthinking stuff was getting in the way of her wanting to be alive. So I sang that song and it really inspired her. So that gave me, so people who suffer with depression, they tend to feel like they don't have a purpose on the planet. You know what I mean? It's not that they're "Oh, I just don't want to exist anymore." It's "Oh, when I do exist, things aren't as great for people."
Mm-hmm.
It's I want to say it's a form of self-hate in a way, because you only see how you're hurting the planet. You don't see how you're helping the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So, that allows, I guess that leaves room for that person to feel okay, if I'm healing other people through some way, then I am doing good and I'm somehow healing myself. Healing others heals myself. It is a win-win.
That makes sense. That's a great thing. I mean, you had been talking to me the other day about it, and that you were wanting to get more into that sort of field, and maybe even get some kind of psychology degree or something to go along with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, music is definitely healing. And if you can help people and you enjoy music and you can help people, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's the whole package. And it sounds like you've had some interesting, experience helping people really overcome almost physical handicaps or.
Oh, absolutely. With the latest student. Latest student I have, he's an older guy. He plays tennis, and he has just so much tension. So the first thing we do in singing exercises is we get really loose and stretch our necks, our jaws, our, all of this upper body. And I just noticed when he was doing the stretches, man, the guy couldn't do the stretches. So
You said he couldn't even do a neck roll.
nah, he was having a hard time with it. Yeah. And so when I noticed that, I immediately said, okay, we're prolonging the stretches. They're almost half the lesson now. So we do a lot of that. And his problem that he was having is that his vocal cords are different lengths almost. It's almost one is shorter than the other.
You saw the video.
And he showed me a video of the inside of his mouth. Yeah, and I could see how they were acting because his doctor, made a video. And it was weird, I will say, but he didn't have any sort of trauma or surgery or anything. It just happened one day. So for me, I'm not saying I'm a doctor or anything like that. But when I saw the tension and I saw that, and I know that tennis uses one arm primarily, and I just thought, well, maybe he's tensing up that side of his body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much tension that it's actually making his vocal cords affected by it.
That's incredible. I mean, I know people hold tension in different various places of their body. Some people hold it in their colon or their gut or their back or their neck, and he's holding it in his neck.
Yeah, and it is crazy. So, it's just crazy to see how tense his neck is, and the way that he describes tennis now that we've done the stretches, how he says, oh, I stretch and I hit the ball faster. And I'm like, my tennis game is improving for my voice lessons. Who knew my tennis game would improve? And I'm just like, so that tells me you've been chronically tense. Like you've been playing tennis tense your whole life.
Tennis tense.
And even when sometimes when he really tries, because he's the type that really, really tries really hard. And I get that because I'm that way.
Face twitches. And his voice cracks.
Yeah, and I can see his jaw tension and his neck tension, and I'm like, yes, I know this because I've dealt with this before. Because I've had that problem, which is, I guess that's something that makes me want to teach. Because I wasn't really good at singing. That's what I was telling you. I was shy and it wasn't good. But so people come to me and they have all these problems with their voice, and I'm like, there's nothing I haven't seen. There's nothing I haven't overcome. The next thing I want to do is actually take opera lessons, because that's one thing that I still have to overcome with my voice is opening up to that extent, and that takes training. So I take vocal lessons myself to train my own voice. So I do feel qualified in the exercises that I'm giving these students, and I do believe that they are rehabilitating them in a way because of the results. With the student that has the neck tension, when we do certain exercises afterwards, the cracking goes away. His voice is deeper. You can hear that it's strengthening his low range, and he's learning how to position the air in a certain part.
And loosen up his face and his neck and jaw.
Yeah.
And pronounce. I've noticed a difference because I talked to him the other day. It was totally different from when he came in and signed up for lessons.
And the other thing is that these people, when they have these disabilities, their mind is really insecure. They have a lot of psychological problems that they're also dealing with, insecurities, which also causes tension and all this stuff. So in addition to that, the music, you also, as a songwriter, you deal with emotions a lot and communication and that type of thing. So
for the people that don't know, I just realized we hadn't even made the connection, but Krysti teaches voice and piano lessons at the music store where I work. And that's sort of how I was introduced to you.
Yeah, that's right. I teach at Music and Arts. Yeah. And Vance works at Music and Arts. And, we can edit that out if you want.
Probably will. We don't.
You know what? Here, let's say this. How about I say this? I do teach private lessons, piano, voice, ukulele, guitar, ukulele for little kids, which is also great. It's nice I like to teach small children music as well, because it does help with some of their ADD, actually. So I have a lot of students that have neurological disorders or physical disorders in a way, and they're the students that give me, I don't want to say the most fulfillment, but I want more of them. I want more of those students for sure. So that's where I want to go with music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about operatic singing. Is that something you genuinely want to do and get into, or is that more of just a milestone that like something to overcome?
It's a milestone overcome. I don't want to be an opera singer. I just want to learn. I feel like when I hear someone singing opera, I'm my mind blows, and I'm like, how is it possible that the human body can sound like that? Their whole body is vibrating, and I'm like, there must be some sort of healing thing that's going on there if they're able to open up to that extent.
They take it from down deep from the chest,
They utilize their entire torso to push that level up. Dr. Drew's an opera singer.
What?
Yeah. I don't know if y'all are aware of that, but Dr.
I was
Drew's,
not aware of that.
He's trained operatically.
Wow. I want to be trained operatically, yeah, definitely, especially because I think it helps with the belting, the big, powerful singing, which I really like. I like big, powerful singing. I also like the Celtic pretty, lullaby stuff, but, when you're a singer, you just want to do all kinds of stuff with your voice.
Yeah, sure. It'd be I don't know, I guess like a chef, you know what I mean? Learning all different kinds of techniques in order to hone their own kind of thing.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Which is why Find Yourself is multi-genre. It has a lot of different genres. It has everything from reggae inspired to blues, to pop rock feeling, electronic. I like to do a lot of different genres to find my music style.
Okay. And was that the point in producing that song in that way?
Yeah, the point of that whole first album was that it was to explore a ton of different genres, and while kind of going along and having them flow into each other, and like telling the story of the progression of somebody who may have been trying really hard in a dark place, very like technically minded, almost like a robot, transforming into an artist, and letting go of a lot of there's just so much to let go of psychologically. So it's that progression told in the words, the lyrics, the song themes as you go through it. So to be specific, We Are Machines is the second song, which is really electronic sounding, because it's about a human and a computer basically having an argument.
Okay.
So in We Are Machines, the machine is like being forced into going all night, and so is the person running it.
I have that problem on a daily basis at work. Machines don't like me.
They don't. And the machines are like being yelled at by the humans. The humans are like, you're so slow, go faster. And they're just like, no, like they don't have free will. So they talk about how they don't have any free will. And then the person, so it's like a dialogue between a machine and a person. I go back between a robo voice and like a pretty or like human voice. So, and then in the end, the machine like awakens and it's like asking questions like, what does it mean? You know, I'm no longer part of this collective. I'm like my own individualness. And then it has to pass out at the end of the song because it's so tired, you know, just like we all are. And the song is like, we are machines. Like we have so much in common. Like we push ourselves sometimes as if we were machines. And even the machines need to rest.
That could be made into a movie.
I actually write songs with film in mind. Usually I like to tell stories more than like radio songs.
Two roads diverge on the path we follow. A choice of winding dirt or the highway. To the right there are no walls in sight. To the left there gleams a golden city. Everyone is in it for themselves. We need to be as well, so we take the path with great accepts the blame. I said, who must I be for the greed accepts the blame?
I feel like you've got a lot going on emotionally and mentally, and I feel like what I'm gathering from you is I feel like you've got some things that you're not quite ready to express to the world yet, but there's a lot there. And I think that once you're ready to actually completely just say fuck it and express yourself as you are wholly to the world, that is going to be a pretty incredible musical experience. I feel like there's more going on with you than what you're presenting to us or what you've even presented to the music. And
Well, I mean, there's yeah, I mean, I gotta stay somewhat
Stay tuned
mysterious.
for the next record.
Like,
Right.
I am a female living in the world of Trump, not to get political or anything. But yeah, I express a lot in the music. And if you listen to it, you'll hear a lot. Read the lyrics. There's a lot going on in there.
I'm aware. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, my mom is like, why are you telling people about this and telling people about that? I'm just like, man, because I got to tell someone. I'll just go stark bananas.
Stark bananas.
So
Get it out of me.
where your parents live?
Oh, that's a personal question. No, I mean, they live
Bolivia.
in America. They're here. They're
Have they always been supportive of your music?
Well, so not like sometimes. Okay, so
this is the kind of shit that I'm talking about, like the
like,
very
oh,
personal
so
stuff. Like
the stuff that they'll like hate me for. Mom, Dad, if you're listening,
like,
I'm sorry. I'm
I'm
so
talking
honest.
about like the stuff that's very much you. You know, I feel like you've almost like you started out the podcast saying you were shy to sing. I feel like you're shy to talk about yourself. You're very comfortable talking about these other situations and like secondary experiences in your music. Then you told us about the personal song, the lullaby song that you were talking about, but I feel like there's more in there that you haven't explored
He's like James Gibson.
outwardly yet. I
He's
don't know
like-
what that means.
He's just
but-
like James Gibson. He's a good producer. Look at that.
I feel like
He's like,
there's
I feel
more
like,
there.
because the artist's like, I'm giving you everything. Nah, man. Nah, this
deeper.
again.
Just saying, I can hear
I think
it.
a lot of artists feel that way. I think a lot of us feel like we're exposing ourselves, but maybe
some are more comfortable exposing more than others.
well, because you know what I mean. Like, you got to be careful with the internet and stuff. I mean, don't you guys feel like security? Like,
Well, I mean, there's a difference between like being a part of the fappening versus being honest with like music about yourself, right? You know what I mean? Like being exposed with being hacked into internet wise, like you're talking about.
yeah,
right?
which happened to me, and that sucked. Just
right,
saying.
which is shitty. But being a musician, a lot of people kind of they have this expectation of with musicians, they want that musician to be pouring themselves out into the music. You know what I mean? They feel like the entire reason that a person is a musician or even an actor for that matter is because they want to be in the spotlight. They want to present themselves as who they are to everybody else. Otherwise, what's the point, right? And so the people connect most with the artists who actually do that, the actors, the musicians, so on and so forth, who actually connect and divulge the most of themselves, like as more of themselves than most other people, if that makes any kind of sense. The ones who kind of hold it back, people can feel that and they can sense
I
that.
told you about my suicide story. I mean, you don't think that the reason why that story got to me so much is because I didn't feel the exact same way as that guy, and it was just an easier way to express that emotion without hurting my family, you know, without making my whole circle of people worry about me a lot, to just tell a story about something that I was feeling.
Sure.
It's almost like because of the kids, that's how you teach kids too, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were a guy trying to teach a kid a lesson, you wouldn't like necessarily make it about real people. You would make fantastical characters and like something that's easier to digest so that they can take the message and not be freaked out and like make it all dark and, oh my God, Christina needs help. You need to like have an intervention. Take away the music. She's gotta blow. Like,
Sure, no, and I get
so
that.
you gotta survive somehow, right? You gotta find a way to like express it while
But
still
at the same time, you
being
want to.
mysterious.
At the same time, as an adult, you want to be able to relate to other adults.
Oh, which is why I
Because
tell you, I'm like, yeah,
there are
I
other
struggle.
adults who feel the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you may not have to color it like you would do with a kid. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Well, that's why I'm like, yo, I struggle from, depression. And I have to
Yeah.
go back to this song. And that song, I
Yeah.
was feeling it. Like, I was like,
I think
set me on
everybody
fire
has-
when I was
everybody-
singing that
everybody
song.
has a little bit of that, though.
Like,
Right,
yeah.
but that's what they relate to. Like that's what I'm
Right.
saying. That's what people connect to because they can feel that when an artist is being genuine and they're actually pouring themselves out into what's going on with their
That's what
music.
touches people.
Somebody can feel that. You know
I
what I mean?
guarantee you,
And
when
it-
that
and-
Set Fire one, I can hear you, and I love what you're saying. In Set Fire, everything that's on that album or that's on that song is me wanting to set myself on fire.
And other people have felt that same thing, and they will relate to that. You
Right.
know? I'm not saying
Absolutely.
everyone, but I'm saying people will relate.
And the thing is, what they see is like. So let's take this example that we're
And
using.
some
of-
might judge.
That's true.
That's totally
But
everybody's
that's
going to
always
judge.
gonna be
You
how it
can't
is.
base what you do off of the
What
fact
other
that somebody
people
else is
think.
going to judge you.
Judge
what I
me.
mean? Right, judge you. You know, but the thing is, so using the example of suicide, right? Somebody who might be listening to an artist's song about suicide will see that that artist is obviously very much still alive and kicking, even though their song is about suicide. So what they're hearing and what they're seeing are contradictory. So they'll relate to the song as in, I have had plenty of thoughts of suicide. I'm not in a great place right now, right? But they'll see that that artist who is connecting with them musically is still alive. So that gives them hope. They hear the song and then they see the hope. Does that make sense? I'm getting weird with this.
No, that's
but-
absolutely right. That's
Right.
why I do it. That's
Right.
why I express the emotions.
And then they
right.
say, maybe I don't need to go through with this because other people, I'm not alone.
Right,
Other
and
people
they're
have had
able
this
to
same thing.
relate to what's
so you're
going
helping
on.
people.
So the
That's good.
pouring out of the genuine self is what people latch onto. People can sense when something isn't quite as honest as it should be, or maybe if it's not quite there. You know what I mean? But when it's unabashedly you, people pick up on that instantaneously. It's very quick and very easy for people to do. Those are the songs that connect with people, and I feel like you've got more of that coming. I feel like there's stuff in there that you're not quite comfortable opening the floodgates to just yet. That's where I was going with it.
Yeah, definitely for some songs, but not for all songs. That's what Angelgrams was all about, really. That was the idea, was like, hey, if we make a song every week, you can't over-edit it. It's going to end up being really honest about whatever is going on.
Right.
So that was the beauty of that, which actually helped really, and I would recommend anybody to do kind of a song a day or a song a week if you're an artist. And that's like a great artist development tool because it helps you overcome, like, don't edit yourself so much, like raw, real, uplifting. And the reason uplifting is because I feel like for me, I want more songs that can find the light in a dark situation. I want more of that in media and in what I listen to, because that's powerful. Like if I'm constantly listening to like breakup songs, like a lot of the radio is like breakup songs.
A lot of songs are written based around love in one way or another. Love for somebody, love for something, lost love.
Because
all-
people write songs about things they feel strongly about
Right.
and love something people feel strongly about. Going back, you said your parents were somewhat supportive, somewhat maybe not always supportive. And if you don't want to talk about this, cool. I'm not trying to put you on the spot because you said it was a very personal
They're
thing. But I'm just
I will
curious.
say they're very supportive now. Like they're extremely supportive.
But growing up, were they like,
I think,
maybe
like-
this isn't like a way to make a living or
Yeah, like any parents, they're like, that culture is
What-
filled with drugs.
well, what did that?
don't base your living on that.
what would they rather have seen you do?
I mean, something that I already tried, I guess.
Like a doctor or a lawyer or
Electrical
something
engineering.
Yeah, like,
Electrical engineering.
right. Yeah, my family actually has a lot of engineers, and of our close cousins, the first one did become an engineer, so she kind of led the way for all the girls, set the example. Strong, independent, tough woman.
Do you have siblings?
I have a sister.
Older or younger?
Older. Yeah, I am the youngest of a sister and then 2 half sisters.
How old are you, by the way?
That's a personal
You don't
question.
ask
It is a
women
personal
that.
question. You're right.
That's a personal
I
question.
would ask a man that, so I'm going to ask a woman that because
I am
Because you're not
Equality.
sexist.
right,
ageist.
not that either.
I am a young person, but I'm not that young. I did
Okay.
graduate from a 4-year degree, so I'm at least that old.
All right, so you're at least 22.
At least that old. I can still have kids, I guess. So anyway,
So you're not quite 50.
right.
So somewhere between 22 and 50. That narrows it down.
All
quite a
right.
bit.
That's my age.
Okay.
What's my age again? So, I mean, yeah, it was just typical, like, stuff like that. Everyone has that story. Like, I mean, what parent is really like, yes, 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 go for it, music forever and always? It's like, oh, that's could be your hobby, you know? You could do something that makes money to support the music. That makes sense.
I guess when I say supportive, though, because I work in a music store, I'm dealing with parents all the time. And my parents are very supportive of me, you know, through my musical career. And I find that people that are good at what they do and are successful, usually it's one of two things. Either their parents were pretty supportive and like helped them along as they went, or their parents were like, don't do that, and they rebelled. You know, it was one of those two things.
It was, I would say that on that spectrum, they were extremely supportive because I had a piano at home. My mom was trying to teach me music theory when I was very young. I had piano lessons. When I played clarinet, I got private clarinet lessons. And I practiced in my room every night, and they never were like, shut up, stop playing that stupid, you know. And I would do annoying things, like, you know, annoying.
So you played clarinet in middle school and high school band?
Yeah.
Did you do marching band?
I did. I marched.
Awesome.
Yeah, I actually made it all the way to state. I was like one of the first parts. I was on first part in state and all state. I was first chair, and I was into it. You know what I mean?
When did you start playing guitar, though?
When I went to college. So, well, no, I was 15. I was 15 and I started messing around in songwriting because I wanted to sing, and I backed myself up in clarinet. Obviously, you can't sing at the same time. So,
Did your parents like help you with like lessons and things like that?
yeah, I had some guitar lessons, and I did have some voice lessons back then, but I didn't really like the teacher, so I didn't really do more voice lessons with
When did you get into piano?
I was playing piano when I was younger just because it was in the house. And
Does your parents play? Did your mom play? Or?
my dad plays guitar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he would my dad definitely got me into music, I would say. He's classical. He plays
Really?
classical guitar.
He's pretty good.
Well, yeah, he plays like Latin tangos and that type of stuff. It's really cool.
Have you guys played together?
Yeah.
You've collaborated?
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've collaborated a lot. That's what I'm saying. My parents are very, very supportive. Actually, they got me like a wireless mic. They got me a PA like as a present, and from there I was able to really like become like a present musician in Austin. Because without a PA as a vocalist, it can be pretty challenging.
Definitely.
So yeah, like they were extremely supportive in a lot of ways. There's a lot that I did though that kind of initiated them to be like, oh, she's really serious about this, you know, and she's not going to stop doing this. So we're gonna like, you know, be a part of that. Because
Sounds
family,
like good parents.
yeah, family is very important for us. I'm very lucky, like to be very close with my family. And
You're pretty close to your sister?
yeah. I mean, I wrote "Find Yourself" for my sister. Basically, that's when it got finished.
Does she
was
play an instrument?
violin? Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
we used to play together. We would play like little Christmas concerts. And she would be on violin, and I played piano, and my dad would sing and play guitar.
Maybe you guys need to make a record together.
Yeah.
You know, get them all into the studio and collaborate. That could be cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Actually, I would love to do that one day. Yeah. Get into this JackRabbit SoundShack studio. Family collab night.
We're all about family here at JackRabbit SoundShack and In Session.
Yeah.
Family collab night. It could be really cool. I mean, that would be
awesome.
very healing for a lot of families, I'm sure, that like struggle and maybe they can write a song together and then feel like this new bond that they've never felt. Writing a song with someone is intimate. It's extremely intimate.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like if more people wrote songs together, like the world might have a better
place.
understanding. Well, I don't want to go that broad, but like have a better understanding of other people's thought processes and then be more compassionate because of it. So,
Yeah.
and families can be very not compassionate with each other, very judgmental sometimes.
Yes.
Because you're like, I can be. You're my family. You can't. I can judge. I don't
I
know.
can tell you what I think.
And you can't go anywhere, which is good. A
You're
family
stuck with me.
at least they care enough to say something about it, I guess. That's the great thing with family.
Yeah,
you know?
sometimes.
Yeah.
Everybody's family is
Everybody's
different.
family is fucked up, I know. No one has a perfect family, right? So let's have more family collab night, man. Well, let's expose all of our families and how crazy they are.
That'd be a whole nother podcast. I mean,
You need a lot of insurance here at your studio for that.
It's like, stop singing the wrong note, Sheila.
David,
Dad,
stop
you can't.
punching your brother in the face.
Throw the didgeridoo through your control room
You got your
window.
brother in the headlock. You're punching him in the face.
Maurice,
kidding.
Maurice, that's not the drum. That's the Congo. All right. It's not the right drum, Maurice. That would be so crazy. Anyway, you guys, so that's family, right? Yes, I would say the answer to your question.
They're very supportive.
Yes, and
Thanks
I
for
write-
going deep a little bit with us on that. I know. I mean, I didn't want to like push too hard on that stuff because you kind of like cut me off, and then David changed the subject, and I sort of came back to it. But I think it's important because everybody, you know, their roots. It's roots, and it's part of who you are, and the reason you're making music, and because you have support, and your family has been supportive. Same reason I am where I am today is because my family has been supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think that that's an important thing to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I have 2 songs for my mom and 1 for my dad. And so, yeah, I do write songs for them specifically or for family members as a thank you for supporting me, you know, because I would not be able to do it if it wasn't for them, really. It's a joint effort.
Sounds like you have a great family.
Yeah, for sure. I am all out of questions.
Me too.
Gotcha. Well, Krysti, where can people find you online?
At www.krystisubieta.com. Again, that's KRYSTI on Spotify and Google, iTunes, YouTube. Look up Krysti Subieta Music on YouTube. You'll find over 70 videos there. A lot of it's intimate stuff, like raw, real, unedited videos. But there's also produced music videos there too. There's like full-blown music videos as the playlist if you want to see the full production stuff. And then there's unplugged stuff as well. So yeah, check me out.
Awesome. And you can find us at www.insessionjrss.com, or you can send us an email at insessionjrss@gmail.com, right?
That's it.
And if you're a band or an artist that wants to come on the show, please shoot us an email at that address.
Please.
And we would love to get back to you and hopefully have you on the show sometime. And we want to personally thank Krysti Subieta for being here. Thank you so much. And hope you enjoy her music, her lovely music. Go find her live. Go see her live. Check out her cool YouTube videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. I would like to remind people also that our podcast is on Google Play Music, Stitcher, iTunes, as well as our website, insessionjrss.com. Revamped website, by the way.
David, thank you for doing that. Go check out his awesome new website. that
You're
he's
welcome.
built. Thank you.
There's also a method in which to support us. If you guys would like to say thank you and allow us to kind of keep this going for you guys, we eventually want to get this grown into a video production and bring in bands from around the country, around the world, if that's possible. We are not beholden to just Austin. And support would be a great way to do that. But in return for that, your donation, we have our store up. You can buy a mug, an In-Session JackRabbit SoundShack mug. You can get a tumbler, you can get a t-shirt, you can get stickers, you can get an iPhone case if you are an iPhone user. If you would like to do that.
Or you can straight up just donate, right?
Not yet. I haven't done that. I don't want to ask people for donations just yet
gotcha.
without giving them something, but possibly soon. We are also looking at doing a Patreon thing, and we are also looking at doing a live show sometime at the beginning of 2018. We wanted to do it by the end of this year. It didn't quite work out. We want to make sure that it's actually a good show.
And we're still shopping venues and trying to figure it out. So.
Correct. So, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm done. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Until next time, he's Vance. I'm David. We want to say thank you from everybody here at JackRabbit SoundShack Studios, and we are punching out.
Regrets collect like old friends, here to relive your darkest moments. I can see no way, I can see no way, and all of the ghouls come out to play. Every demon wants his pound of flesh, but I like to keep some things to myself. I like to keep my issues strong. It's always darkest before the dawn. And I've been a fool and I've been blind. I could never leave the past behind. I can see no way, I can see no way. I'm always dragging that horse around. Our love is past, it's such a mournful sound. So tonight I'm gonna bury that horse in the ground. 'Cause I like to keep my issues strong. It's always darkest before the dawn. Whoa. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Oh, whoa. And it's hard to dance with the devil on your back, so shake him out. Oh, whoa. And I am done with my graceless heart, so tonight I'm gonna cut it out and then restart. 'Cause I like to keep my issues strong. It's always darkest before the dawn. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Oh, whoa, and it's hard to dance with the devil on your back, so shake him out. Oh, whoa, and it's hard to dance with the devil on your back. Give it half the chance, would I take any of it back? It's a final mess, but it's left me so undone. It's always darkest before the dawn. Whoa. Oh, whoa. And I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. So here's to drinks in the dark at the end of my road. And I'm ready to suffer, I'm ready to hold. It's a shot in the dark and right in my throat. 'Cause looking for heaven for the devil in me. Looking for heaven, found the devil in me. Well, what the hell? I'm gonna let it happen to me. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Whoa, and it's hard to dance with the devil on your back, so shake him out.
Hey, nay, nay, hey, nay, nay, hey, hey, nay, hey, nay, hey, nay, hey, hey, nay, nay. Meow, wow, 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 wow. Since I'm editing it, I'm trying to create extra work. Throat singing.
Yeah.